The book came about in large part because I'm a fan of the band, and I'm also a contemporary of the group, so I was fortunate enough to see them from 1983 all the way through to 1986, the years that they were actively gigging. And I write biographies and write about music, and the only other biography on the Smiths is now 20 years old, and I felt that with the additional 2 decades of hindsight, the kind of mellowing in some ways, the maturing of some of the personalities involved, and my own enthusiasm for the subject and the fans' ongoing fascination for the subject as well, that, to coin Morrissey's phrase, it's time the tale were told, and perhaps I should be the one to tell it. The biggest misconception about the Smiths is that they were miserable. You only have to look at the pictures of the band to just see how happy they were through almost all of the 5 years that they were together. And Morrissey certainly suffered from bouts of depression. I don't think that's a secret. His claims to celibacy, his admission to suicidal thoughts, his determination to write about, for people who essentially don't go out, that made him perhaps look like a dark figure, and there are elements of that. But Morrissey's interviews were as funny as any pop star who's ever been interviewed, and his lyrics were hilarious as well, and in a way never more so than in one of their most misunderstood of songs, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, which was really the Smiths laughing at the notion of themselves being a so-called miserable band. The period that the Smiths were active, from 1983 to 87 as a recording act, coincided with the second Fletcher period, and that's important to the story of the band as well. They're a very political group. They really put themselves in opposition to the Thatcher era, and I make sure that that's part of the story as well. And of course I really try and write about the music, not so much song by song, but about the music, how it evolved. I talk to the Smiths producers, I talk about some of the studio sessions, and I really talk about how the band had such an effect on their audience, whether it was a pop single like This Charming Man, or a very strong statement like Meat is Murder, and how that really helped, and how that, along with Morrissey's interviews, of course, helped really create a fan base that simply has never died out. I think their influence is very, very apparent. The NME has named them the most influential artist ever. And I think you can hear that influence in bands as varied as Radiohead, The Shins, The Decemberists. But you can also, I think Morrissey really showed that you could sing about subjects that weren't normal subjects. And I think that the band's sort of very independent ethos, that they broke the rules, they challenged the rules, they didn't put singles on albums, they didn't tour when they were meant to, they didn't do videos. All of these things, in a way they helped break the band up prematurely, one could argue, but they also made the period of the Smiths so incredibly magical. And I think it's largely the fact that the group broke up when they did, only 4 studio albums in, when people still probably thought the best was yet to come. I think that's part of the reason that we remain so fascinated by them, and that's the reason I took the book title from a song title. It's A Light That Never Goes Out, The Enduring Saga of the Smiths.